welcome to maybe my most ridiculous vlog yet. Today, as the title of this video suggests, I'm doing a reading vlog, and the books I'm going to read in this reading vlog, we are going to find out together very shortly by getting Christmas songs to choose what to read. So I've created a playlist on Spotify of 12 Christmas songs, and each of these books have a post-it note with the title of one of the Christmas songs. So what I'm going to do is, with that playlist, I'm going to put on shuffle, and then whatever song pops up in shuffle, that is going to be the book I'm going to read. I've actually done this video once before, and when I originally did it, it was like 50 books, I think. It was a ridiculous amount of books. I never finished that vlog, it never saw the light of day, but I'm really hoping this time it goes through because I've been meaning to do it for a very long time, and I think it'll just be a fun way to get into the Christmas spirit. Also, it will be a fun way for me to do a vlog that includes books from my December TBR, because I'm really bad at including books that are on my TBRs in vlogs, because a lot of the time I try and keep it secret, and I don't know, like, no one cares, but I just do that. So I want to try and actually be productive in a realistic way towards my TBR this month. I think that's all the sort of housekeeping I have to say. Oh, one thing, I am only going to be choosing 3 books, so I'm going to put this playlist on shuffle 3 times to choose 3 of the books here. We are now going to decide our first book. Let it snow!
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So we're going to be reading The Disappearances. Now, this book I got when I first started my channel. I think it's a very magical realism, fabulism sort of story that is contemporary. I'm really looking forward to this. I love this cover. It's like embroidery. I don't know if you can really see too well, but I also really I'm really excited to read this because I haven't really heard anyone talk about it. I love being that booktuber who talks about books that other booktubers don't talk about, you know. Not that I do that often. But okay, that's our first pick, which is good as well because it's contemporary, so it won't be too much of a feat. Okay. Book 1's chosen. Let's go to shuffle again and choose our second one. Of course, Mariah Carey was going to choose a book for us. Oh, yes! Okay, I'm so happy about this. This is The Beast Warrior, which is the sequel to The Beast Player. I read that back in, I think, September, and I really enjoyed it. It's basically a book about animal companions. It's very anime Studio Ghibli-esque, and I did not know how I was going to make time for this until now. So I am so happy, especially I just love finishing off series in December as well. I think it's a really satisfying way to end the year. So yes, I'm so happy. Oh my god. I mean, I would have been happy with any of these, but I'm really happy. Okay, one more time. The last book we're going to be reading for this vlog is... Okay, I'm laughing because in the original video of this concept, this book was chosen. So I'm so happy to see that it got chosen again, because this book is just a book I keep neglecting because I keep abandoning the vlogs. So hopefully this book's not cursed and means I don't abandon this vlog. Please, you've had your run. You want to be read. You want to be in a video. Touch wood. But yeah, this is going to be the final book I'm reading. This is a fantasy romance. That is the first book in a series. And I made notes when I first read it, so I'm interested to... I mean, I only read the first... I've got the bookmark in, I think. I think this is the bookmark. I think I only read the first 160 pages. So I'm going to go back and restart this because it's been a while and I don't really remember what I read of it. But I am so excited. This is a good selection. Oh, okay, well, sorry guys, you weren't selected. And that's it. I'm gonna go now, and you'll see me in my next update with my thoughts on my first book. I don't even know which one I'm gonna pick up first. That is to be decided. You'll find out, and I'll find out soon. I made a start on the Disappearances, and the synopsis I've been giving for this book is entirely wrong. I read only the first 3 chapters, but basically I was right in the sense that this is a book about grief. We do follow a young girl who has just lost her mother, but I did not realize this was set during, I think it's World War II. That seems to be the war it's hinting at. It hasn't clarified yet, but that's the impression I'm getting. And so her mother's just died. It seems like some sort of illness took her life, but again, we haven't had clarification of that yet. And her younger brother Miles are just being sent off to live with her mother's friends and to be in their care because their father has to go to war because he's been drafted. This was not what I was expecting. Oh my god, I feel like such an idiot. Especially like the cover, like this does not give me like World War II setting vibes. Like, I thought it was like a modern contemporary. The friend of her mother's that our main character, what's her name again? Ayla, I think it's Ayla, and her brother are living with now. They actually live in this small town that her mother grew up in, and they don't know, like, Ayla and her brother don't know much about the small town because there was never anything that her mother really talked about. So I think it's going to be like a story about her reconnecting with her mother and like her mother's past, maybe her mother's like childhood, and I think moving on from grief, and also World War II. I don't know, it's a lot. And that's all I kind of have to say. I just wanted to like pop on quickly, clarify that I was very wrong in my original synopsis and correct myself. So I finished The Disappearances. This was a really quick read, and I didn't realize, I thought The Disappearances in this novel was going to be about her mother dying suddenly and also her father leaving and going off to war. But it's actually not. So basically when they get to this small town, it's very quickly discovered by her and her younger brother that the small town has a curse where every 7 years something disappears. So something that's disappeared is like the reflections, people's reflections have disappeared. So no one in the town has mirrors because there's no use for them anymore. Smell has disappeared, there's no smell, so you can't smell flowers, you can't smell food, you can't smell anything. And when they've arrived, it's a couple of months away from the next disappearance. So the town is very sort of anxiously awaiting what is going to disappear next because it's like the simple small joys in life that keep going. We sort of follow just this girl trying to uncover the town's mystery of the curse and also the mystery of her mother and what her mother's life was like when she lived in the town. And also it's hinted at from very early on that the mother had some sort of connection to the curse, and she's also trying to uncover that connection. The family she moves in with has a boy that's like her age. She kind of has a crush on him, so we sort of see their relationship form. She goes to school in this new town, so you see her at the school like making new friends and all of that. Something I thought was quite interesting was as soon as this book announced that it was as soon as I realized this book was set during World War II, I thought that was going to be a much heavier theme in the story, and it really wasn't. Like most of this novel, I forgot that the Second World War was even occurring. The only time World War II was ever mentioned was when it mentioned about her father having to go for war, and that was it. There was no other discussion, which I didn't really mind because I'm not the biggest fan of World War II stories, so I was a little bit scared for a minute that it was going to be a World War II story, which it really isn't. But I also think this didn't feel like it was set in the 1940s. This could have been set any time. It was really a timeless setting for me, and I don't know if that's like a good or bad thing. It's just something I wanted to make note of, and my final rating is 3 stars. So I kind of felt kind of average about this one. I just don't think it was my taste in books, although I do think like the concept was quite interesting. I will say I feel like people who are really into Shakespeare will enjoy this book because there are so many Shakespeare references. I am not super familiar with Shakespeare, so a lot of them kind of just went over my head, But yeah, I guess I would recommend this for fans of Shakespeare. And so yeah, book 1 for this vlog is completed. Hello. Hi. So it is, what's the date? It's the 20th of December. So I need to basically get this vlog done ASAP. I'm working Christmas Eve. I want this uploaded. I kind of want this uploaded the day before Christmas Eve. So I need to finish these, but I have made a start on both of them. So hopefully I can finish them very soon. I started this today when I did some reading sprints with Tammy. The Beast Warrior is the sequel to The Beast Player. Now, I did read the first book, The Beast Player, in a vlog a couple of months ago, so I'll leave that vlog linked in case you want to hear my thoughts as I was reading that book. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a favorite from this year. It's a very anime-esque sort of book. This book is set in a world where once the country had one leadership, and many years ago there was a disagreement and ended up splitting the country in two in terms of leadership. There's still, present day, a lot of tension between these different people, and we follow a girl called Ilyn, who's been raised in this village called a toad village, and toads are like these huge sort of sea serpents, and her mother is a toad doctor, so she cares for these creatures. And Ilyn has been raised with her mother. When we meet them, the father's died. You never meet the father. It's never explicitly said, I don't think, when he died, but it's been clear that Ilyn has been raised by her single mother for a few years, and she is outcasted because her mother is not of these people. She's from a different group of people, and they are believed to sort of have to be like witches, and to be cursed and taboo of a sort. So her mother is sort of outcasted in this village, even though she does them like so much service in caring for all these todas, because the toda are used as part of the army. So the men train to ride the toda into battle. Ellen gets separated from her mother after her mother is killed, and she finds herself all alone in the world at the age of 10. And from there, we just sort of follow her story, her journey alone. It's really her story as well about her relationship with others, particularly her relationship with animals and wildlife. And it's all really about like the study of wildlife and why certain creatures do certain things in certain ways in terms of like nature. It also sort of questions, can these dangerous sort of creatures, the beast, the royal beasts that they're known as in this world, can they be tamed? Really not a very plot heavy story. There is definitely stuff going on in terms of the politics in the world and the political powers, these two like political powers up against one another, and there's this whole thing with one side of them use the toda to fight in the armies, and then the other side have these royal beast creatures, which are these creatures like depicted on the covers, and the royal beasts are the only creatures that can destroy a toda, and then toda's like the second hierarchy of the animal chain, you know. Something I really enjoyed about Ellen's character is she's a very observant kid, very quiet, very observant, and she sees from these different sort of people that she lives with, these people who have been raised with different beliefs from different sides, how they view the creatures and how they treat them. And there's not a huge amount of difference because all these people are trying to use creatures for their own benefit, and a lot of the creatures are suffering because of that, and that is something which she really looks into. This story is so far just really continuing on from that, which is sort of surprising me because this does follow book one but 10 years afterwards. So I was sort of hoping we were going to be having new things happening, but so far no. And I'm not liking it. I'm still really enjoying it. I really enjoy how it like examines animals and like their nature, and it's like I find it really interesting because there's like a lot of biology in this as well, which I just find fascinating, but like biology to do with the creatures in here. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say on this one so far. I looked everywhere for an audiobook for this because I thought I might hybrid read this to try and get through it faster, and I don't think an audiobook for this exists, unfortunately, so I'm just going to read it physically, which is fine, but I'm really going to make sure I make time for this, particularly tomorrow is the plan. I did also start Song of Blood and Stone. I don't know how I'm feeling about this one so far, to be honest, but I'm a little bit confusion because I am listening to the audiobook of this, okay? I decided since I can't find an audiobook for The Beast Warrior, I'm going to listen to this on audio because time is of the essence here and I have a lot to do. So I want to listen to an audiobook while I'm like, you know, doing all my things. But this edition I have, okay, it says right there that it's got, well, it says right there that it has bonus content, and I thought that would just mean it had like, I don't know, an extra short story or something at the end or at the beginning. It has like extra scenes spread throughout the story. So I started the audiobook and then I went to go find where I was at and I was like, hold on, like this book is not matching the audiobook. And for a hot second, I thought the audiobook and this book were like two completely different stories, but they're not. It's just there's all these extra scenes that have been added throughout the book with a completely different POV full of different characters. I'm bamboozled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep consuming this book by listening to the audiobook, and then I'm just marking the pages where the extra content is, and I'm going to go back and read them. But I'm so confused why they've done it this way. It's just a really weird choice to have made. I don't understand what's actually happened. Now, this book I did start at the very beginning of this year. I was basically doing this video concept, but it wasn't Christmas songs. It was something else. And yeah, that video obviously never saw the light of day. It's one of the vlogs that was tossed in the bin. in this, we're following our main character, Jasminda. It's set in a really interesting time period. It's sort of like Wild Wild West. There is technology. There's mention of like phones, which surprised me when I read that, because I thought this was, you know, your typical fantasy where there wasn't going to be technology like phones, but there are. In here we have a very similar setup to what this series has, in terms of we have two different kingdoms who have a lot of hate, anger, at war with one another, and her parents are born from each kingdom. Her dad's born from one of the kingdoms and her mum's born from the other. We know her mum's dead. It seems her dad and her brothers are missing, I think. It hasn't been explicitly stated, but she is like alone. Jasminda is also in a huge amount of debt. At the start of the book, she is on the phone to a solicitor that was hired by her grandfather. Her grandfather offers her money in exchange of her denouncing her mum as actually being her mother. So she's going to like deny that her mother is her mother, give up sort of that family name or whatever, because of who her dad is. That's why her grandfather wants that to happen, because he doesn't want any association with her and her dad and what happened with her mother. So she is contemplating taking her grandfather's deal, even though it means burying her mother's memory, because she's desperate. She needs money, otherwise she's going to lose the family farm that she was raised in, her home. Then we see her going back to her home. She comes across this random spy guy literally out of nowhere, and then he ends up going back to her place with her, and her place is invaded by soldiers and she doesn't have any choice. These soldiers just kind of come in, station themselves at her place, and that's where I'm at. It's a little bit all over the place, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm missing details, which just has me so confused, because obviously there's extra content in here, so I'm like reading this as well as I go along to make sure I'm not actually missing out on things that is going to make me confused. But it's a different POV, it's a different, like, completely different characters that so far our main character Jasminda has not met. So I'm just like confusion overall. The only other thing I need to add that's quite important is Jasminda has this ability called Earth Song, which is essentially like a healing ability, but the people in the town are quite fearful of it, which is interesting. Like, why be fearful of a healing ability? But it is something that she inherited from her father, so it seems to be her father's people is the reason she's outcasted as well. So I'm just hoping that the world building becomes a little bit more clear, because at the moment it is not. I'm a little bit confused and I don't know where this is heading. I don't know where this is heading. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, but I'm going to try and finish this tonight, tomorrow morning, soon. Yeah, anyway, I wanted to show you guys, because I've been doing like some Christmas shopping and stuff, and while I've been doing Christmas shopping, I've been getting things for myself, because basically I moved in the middle of lockdown and I wasn't able for a really long time to like buy much for myself in terms of like for my apartment, like homeware sort of things. So I've been doing that. There's so many sales at the moment and I found some things I love that I had to get, so I'm going to show you. I'm really excited. So the first thing I want to show you is this diffuser. I love this brand called Heart & Co. They do homeware, but what I mostly get from them is like diffusers, candles. They have my favorite scents. I am not a fan of sweet scents. Like, I don't like fruity scents or like overly sweet ones, like, you know, like a strong caramel. That's just not my taste. I'm really into like woodsy scents, and they do this. Oh, I can smell it already. It's amazing. Okay, so they do, this is my favorite scent. It's sandalwood and vanilla. So they have it in the diffuser, obviously. They also stock it in like the candle, and they also do these soy melts. Oh, that's so amazing. Oh, I love this. And it literally lasts, this thing lasts literally forever. I am obsessed. I love it so much. So I got that for me. And then I also got, which is a little ridiculous, I got a lot of new mugs. I already have like a lot of mugs, but I got more today. So I'm going to show you them. My favorite brand, Salt and Pepper, have like a huge sale at the moment. So I went and got a whole bunch of things from them. So like this is just a plain grey mug. I feel like the camera, I just love the marble finish for it. Oh, this one's so pretty. I love this one. It's just like pretty blue. I don't know, and I love all the specs. These are also all handmade. So even though like there's a lot of, like there's set styles with set colors that are all the same, they're all slightly different because they are handmade, which I just love. And literally all the mugs I already own are the exact same as these, but just different colors. So I've just got like every mug in every color, which is kind of ridiculous. Oh, I love this. This is like a mango one. I just love it. It's such a good size. And then I got one more, and then this one, which is sort of similar to the mango one. But I don't know, I just really love that look. Like, it's just so many. I've got so many of them. You'll probably see them in videos. I need to start taking Instagram photos with them. I really need that. They need to have their moment. I've read more of this, and I don't think I'm liking it. We're now with a different group of people. Like, they've just run away. I don't really understand. They've crossed this like mantle, they call it, which is basically a veil in between the two kingdoms. It's some sort of magical veil. I don't have a full understanding whether it's a veil that barries, is that a word? I don't know. That divides the kingdoms, or if the mantle is like a place in between the kingdoms. I think it's a divide, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong on that, so I'll let you know. And there she's met a whole group of people who are like her, who have the Earth Song. And it seems like the Earth Song isn't just some sort of healer magic that people have. It seems like the Earth itself, like Mother Nature as a force, has its own Earth Song, but we're not given much explanation. Okay, I just read on the back that the mantle is like a divide, a veil between the two kingdoms, and it's what's actually kept the two kingdoms from fighting from one another. I didn't actually get that from the book, but alright. I think her goal is going to be to restore the mantle, to keep these two kingdoms separated, but there's also some random queen, which has been mentioned in the story, who is asleep, that they need to go find. What is actually happening? I got all ready because I realized I have no thumbnail for this video, and I should probably film a video today anyway because I'm going to be so busy with work. But because it's like a Christmas thing video, I was like, okay, I should get like my Christmas earrings out. But I got Archie this like little Santa suit the other day at Kmart. So I'm going to get him in it. It's not hot today because I'm back and forth on like getting it because it's summer here. It can get hot, but some days it's not hot. Like today's not hot. So I'll just put it on him. We can take a couple photos and I'll take it off him because even though it's not hot, he doesn't need a jumper. Like, it's good weather. Come here. Arch. He's just sitting on his little chair ignoring me now. I want to put your Santa suit on. Can you come over here? Are you just going to ignore me? You're not keen? He's actually like completely deaf now. Old age is getting to him, so he can't understand me. He used to be really responsive and like come whenever I called, but now he can't. So I will talk about the book a little bit. while I get this coat on him, I finished Song of Blood and Stone and I gave it 1 star. Perhaps that book was cursed and it was a sign that it kept being in vlogs that were failing and not seeing the light of day, that it should have been read. The worst thing about this book, I think, was so poorly written. Like, I think it's particularly like the story. I didn't like any of the characters. I found the plot as well to just not be intriguing. And not only that, it just didn't make sense a lot of the time. I just didn't understand how we got from like one place to another. I did go back and read the second like story that was added to this, like the, you know, the special edition story. But that second story, I was more invested in that than I was in the main story. In the second story, we're following this girl called, a woman called Ella, who's married, and she's contacted by her sister, who she has not had any contact with in years. And her sister's basically gone off and joined a long time ago this like religious group, which is essentially a cult. And she gets this urgent message from her sister to come visit her. She goes, sees her sister, and her sister is actually about to have a baby, and her sister does have a baby, and she dies during the birth. The child ends up being like swooped away from by like this religious cult, and then we follow this girl Ella trying to trace down this child and sort of the mystery of her sister's life and what her sister had gotten herself involved in. Now, Ella's story is connected because her husband Ben is in association with Jack from the main storyline. But for a long time I was trying to figure out how these two stories connected. Like, it was obvious they were set in the same world and in the same time period, I thought, but their actual connection didn't come to light until quite a way through the book. I thought as well the magic in this world didn't make sense. I thought at the start it was healing magic, but it seems that the healing sort of earth song magic was something that Jasmine, the main character, and her father sort of practice, or the way they sort of practice. But there's also mentions of like blood magic and such, but I wasn't given enough information to actually make an understanding and understand like the limits of the magic and understand all the different uses. Oh my goodness, look how cute you are, the little Santa man. Okay, let's quickly button this up and get some thumbnails in. I'll get this off you. Thank you. You can go to sleep now. I know you love your naps. I'm sorry to disturb you. As I was saying, just this book really didn't have anything redeeming in my eyes. Like, I can't sit here and tell you one good thing that I got out of this book. I just don't think this was a well-crafted story. I didn't understand the intentions with the characters half the time. There were quite a few characters that were predatorial towards Jasmine, the main character, and this was something we saw through their actions or something that was just expressed through their thoughts. And it seemed like a lot of these choices were done to really paint Jack, the love interest, in a really like knight in shining armor, the perfect good guy sort of light. And just sitting there like, sure, okay, we get it, he's a really great decent guy, which is a rarity in this world apparently, but he's boring. He's so boring. He has zero personality. I mean, she kind of had zero personality, so maybe they're a match made in heaven here. I am wondering now, maybe fantasy romance isn't for me. Like, I keep giving these books a go and none of them are favorites, and I don't really expect to find a favorite, but I really want to have a fun time, and this just didn't even give me that. Like, at least with some of the other ones I've read, I've been entertained, okay? Whereas with this one I just wasn't, and I was just sitting here thinking there's so much of this book that feels like it's missing. I do think like one of the main issues of this book was its delivery in its information. It was random. At times it was irrelevant information delivered, and sometimes there's not enough. I don't even know what I originally thought this book was going to be about, but I remember being really excited, and I feel sorry for past Nicole who felt that way so strongly. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Anyway, we're done. I guess what we do now is move on to the final book in this vlog, which I need to finish today. I'm only 200 pages in, so I need to finish this today. This one's going better though, I will say. I am actually enjoying this book. So hopefully I just have more positive things to say. Where I'm at now, things have really just kicked up, particularly with the action. The same thing happened with the first book in this series, actually, The Beast Player. I did find the first like 150 to 200 pages quite slow, but now things are happening. Okay, quick final update. I completed The Beast Player, had a little cry at the ending, and I am giving it 4 stars. I did contemplate giving it a little bit of a lower rating just because I gave the first book 4 stars and I definitely enjoyed book 1 more, but I think I would be lying if I said this book was less than a 4 star, so maybe I just need to bump my rating up for book 1. I think the main criticism I have for this book is it did feel very similar to book 1, and I don't think this book was entirely necessary. I was reading the author's note at the end, and she did actually say that when she wrote The Beast Player, like, that was going to be it, and she didn't originally plan to continue on and write a sequel, but it ended up happening due to like people's requests to have a sequel. So I definitely think if you like The Beast Player, read this. One thing that the similarity from book 1 did was it did make the main character Ellen feel like she hadn't really aged at all, when there's about 11 years difference between the end of book 1 and the start of this book. I couldn't really tell her difference, particularly at the very beginning of this book. Everything felt very same. But I love this. Like, I just really enjoy the story. I don't think everyone will. It is quite slow paced. It's not a very climactic story or action packed, but it's really just about like the bonds between like humans and animals, and how people use and abuse animals, and also just how they care for one another. It's a very wholesome and heartwarming story, while also being heartbreaking because it does deal with like the realities of nature, I guess. So I'm glad we can end the vlog on a positive note, since I really enjoyed this one. And that is it for this vlog. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you're doing well, and I wish you all a happy new year. See you next time.